Hey guys, welcome back to Maroon Friday. Just the other day, I had the opportunity to get to interview James Armstrong, the head women's soccer coach for MSU. I know I loved to get to sit down and talk to him. I hope you will too, so check it out. Coach, for letting me do this. I am excited to get to do this interview.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited also, Andrew. Appreciate you inviting me on today.
So with all my interviews, I usually start off with kind of an intro to tell us kind of about yourself. So can you give us kind of a brief intro, like who you are, where you're from?
Yep. My name's James Armstrong. I'm the head soccer coach at Mississippi State, women's soccer coach. I am originally from England, the northwest of England. Closest to Leeds, Manchester area. Those are the big cities that are near my hometown of Skipton, North Yorkshire. I graduated from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and then I moved to America just straight after graduation. So I was 21 years old. I started off as the equipment manager for the U.S. Soccer Federation and worked with U19 women's national team first for their World Cup run. And then in 2003, I worked with the full women's national team in their World Cup run. And then I moved into coaching Lone Star Soccer Club in Austin, Texas. And then I moved to Auburn University, started out as the assistant coach there, got promoted to the associate head coach. And then Mississippi State called me in January 2019 to offer me the role of head coach here, which obviously I was thrilled about, and been here and loving it ever since.
Wow, that is an amazing story. And do you call soccer football or soccer?
So, much to my friends in England's annoyance, I call it soccer now. Obviously, for the first 21 years of my life, I don't even think I knew of the word soccer. But now when I say football over here, having lived in America for almost as long as I lived in England, soccer is definitely the word I use right now for our beautiful game.
Yes, sir. And did you play soccer as a child?
That's all I did. Well, I say it's all I did. I played tennis and rugby as well, believe it or not. But soccer's been my life since as long as I can remember. All my family played. We used to live within walking distance from the soccer field, and my dad or my uncle or my cousins used to take me down there every single night. Apparently, before I can even remember, that's what I begged them to do. And yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to play a little now, but I'm a little bit old and the legs don't work as well. So yeah, soccer's always been my passion, and that's why I'm so grateful that it's also my career.
What did you get your college degree in?
I got my college degree in history and politics, believe it or not. I went to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and I actually spent a year at North Carolina Chapel Hill as well, which was a lot of fun. But I got my master's in history and politics. If you ask me why I did that, I don't know. History and politics were the things I was most interested in at school. But growing up, I always wanted to be a sports journalist. But back in the old days, I wanted to go to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and they did not have journalism as a degree option there. So history and politics is kind of what I fell into. But when I graduated, honestly, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And that's kind of why I moved to America and found my way into the soccer world here.
Yes, sir. I would like to be a sports journalist when I grow up.
Well, you're definitely on the right track. I can tell you that. It looks like you're already well on your way. You're well ahead of where I was when I was your age.
How long have you lived in the United States?
So I moved here in October 2001. So I've been here 19 years now, which is a long time. I've lived in Chicago, Austin, Auburn, and now Starkville.
Wow. How long have you been a soccer coach?
So I was the equipment manager for 2 years. But during that time, I started doing my coaching badges. And obviously I was around a lot of the best coaches in America at the time. I worked with a number of different youth national teams throughout. So I got to experience a lot of different coaching styles and really embraced watching those training sessions, learning from those people. They became my mentors, asking a lot of questions, seeking advice. And then as soon as I was done with the 2003 World Cup, I had a decision to make as to whether to go to the Olympics in 2004 or start to jump into the coaching world. And I just felt it was the right time and the right opportunity came up. One of my mentors from those youth national teams was starting a club in Austin, Texas that he was very excited about. And he said, look, if you're serious about coaching, now's as good a time as any to get in. So I was probably 24 years of age at that time. So a good while ago, maybe 16 years ago. So been coaching ever since.
What was it like to be a coach for the Olympics?
So I wasn't a coach. I wish I was. I was just the equipment manager. So what that meant was, obviously Nike is a huge sponsor of US soccer, still is. And we had some big name Nike athletes such as Mia Hamm, Abby Wambach, Brandy Chastain, all people that were very famous in the day and still are. My job was to make sure that they were well taken care of, making sure they had everything they needed as well as the rest of the team. And obviously just the simple things like doing the laundry and setting up the cones and making sure all the equipment was at the practice field. And the coolest part of the job was I actually got to be a male practice player for all the teams that I was part of. So I still got to play against some of the best female players in the world. So that was the perks of the job, as well as lots of free Nike gear.
Can you please tell me about your coaching job at Auburn?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I told you that the first coaching job I ever got was through one of my mentors with the U19 women's national team called David Smith. He was an assistant coach and he hired me for my first ever coaching job. And then the other assistant was actually Karen Hopper, who is the head coach at Auburn. So she gave me my first college coaching job. So as you can see, that story about the equipment manager role comes full circle, right? It got me my first coaching job ever, and then it got me my first college coaching job. So Karen Hopper took a leap of faith in me, which I'll always be eternally grateful to her for. I love my time at Auburn. Great people, great staff, great players. And we had a lot of success over there. I was there for 6 years, 7 seasons. We made 2 Sweet 16 appearances. We made an Elite 8 appearance. So it was a really fun time in my coaching career. But, obviously Mississippi State came calling and it was an opportunity that I just couldn't turn down. And I was so appreciative and honored to be considered for that role. And once they called me, it was a no-brainer, and I'm grateful to be here.
What do you look for most when you are recruiting a player?
Oh, what a great question that is. All the things, the main thing is character, okay? We emphasize that we want to recruit players that represent what Mississippi State stands for. And we truly believe that we're a blue-collar, hardworking team. You have to have grit. So the first thing that we look at isn't necessarily the talent, although the talent has to be there and the athletic component and everything else. But it's all the other intangibles. How hard do they work on both sides of the ball? Do they work as hard when the other team has the ball as they do when they have the ball themselves? How are they in terms of their respect for their teammates? How coachable are they? A lot of times we might show up before a game starts and see how serious they're taking their warm-up. Are they goofing around or are they focused? And then obviously we get them on the phone when the first opportunity arises and we start to build a relationship with them. And, we're trying to see what their mentality is. And then if the talents and the mentality fit, we know we've got the right person. But, a lot of times you might get that talented player that's a bit of a prima donna, that doesn't want to work and they wouldn't fit what we're trying to do. So we've been very fortunate with our recruiting classes since we've been here and the transfers that we've got in, that not only are they talented, not only are they athletic, but they want to compete, they want to win, and they want to bring the right personality to enhance our culture both on and off the field.
Yes, sir. What soccer season stands out the most to you?
Soccer season in terms of my coaching career
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Last season, for sure. It was obviously my first season as a head coach. I loved every single second that I spent with our girls. I have a great coaching staff, and I felt like we did a really good job of building the player-coach relationship, getting everybody on the same page, and there was just a level of commitment, a level of excitement, all the way from the first day of preseason all the way through to the unfortunate, time that it has to end. But it was the first time probably at the end of a season where you didn't take a breath and say, okay, I'm ready for a break now. We were all ready to continue going and felt we could have gone for as long as we could. So last season was my most exciting. Obviously, the Elite Eight run at Auburn was a special time as well. That was first time in program history that they'd done that. But last season trumped it. The getting the monkey off our back, as we call it in England, in terms of qualification for the SEC tournament for the first time in 2004 was something that the girls deserved immensely, as due to the hard work that they put in. So that will always go down as, at this moment in time, my most special memory in coaching.
When does soccer season start?
The $1 million question. Obviously, right now, COVID-19, the health and safety and welfare of our players and all soccer players throughout the country is the most important thing. But people that are way above me make those decisions, at that level. So all I can do right now, and all my staff can do, and players, is go along as normal, right? So our preseason is scheduled to start on August the 4th, with the report date, I should say, being August the 3rd. So that's what we're working towards. Our players actually arrive back on campus on the 22nd of June, and they'll go through some rigorous medical testing, and then hopefully that will all be positive conclusion to that. So they'll all test negative for COVID-19, and they'll be able to start voluntary workouts on the 29th of June, with the aim of being as prepared as they can be come August the 4th.
So, during this COVID-19 time, what have y'all done to keep y'all's players in shape?
Yeah, another great question. Let me answer it a little bit of a different way, and I'll get back to your question. We've done a lot of virtual meetings with our teams. There are certain rules and requirements that you have to stick to, like they're only allowed 8 hours of virtual meetings. We haven't used anywhere close to that, but we've met like once or twice a week, depending. And we've done different things. We've done some things to talk about leadership. We've done some stuff to do with sports psychology and sports performance. We've done some tactical work, where we've analyzed some film from either our games or professional games. We've done some fun games, like we did Family Feud, Pictionary, all those kind of things. So we've done a lot of that to kind of bring people together, because we've got 15 new players for the fall, which is a lot. We've only got 32 on the team, so close to half of the roster will be new in terms of last year's team. So kind of building that team camaraderie was very important. In terms of fitness, there's not a lot we can do. The rules state that we can't tell them to do any workouts. We can't watch them do any workouts. Our strength and conditioning coach can't get any data back from them. So a lot of it's been up to them and what they do, either individually or as a group. Obviously our strength and conditioning coach can send out workouts, but we can't hold them to it. So the other tricky piece is, different states have had different levels of access to facilities, and the kids in California couldn't even go outside for a long time, whereas the players in Texas, been back training with their teams for a month now. So it all depends on what area of the country they're in, but I think that when we get them back on the 22nd and hopefully start working out the 29th with our strength conditioning coach, it's going to be really important for our medical staff to figure out where each individual player is at, right? Because the player from California is going to be way behind the player from Texas, and we can't expect them to do the same things, So that's going to be the biggest challenge for us as a coaching staff when we get them back on August the 4th is they're all not going to be at the same level of fitness. So what does that look like from our training modules, and our periodization? So it's going to be a unique experience for all of us, but one that we feel that we've got the right people in the right places to do the best job possible.
What is the highest scoring soccer game you've ever coached?
Oh gosh, I think it was 7-0. I think. Now that's in college. Club. And the goalkeepers are not very good, so there's been some very lopsided scores in that where it's 10 or 11 or 12. And trying to stop 10-year-olds from scoring goals isn't always the easiest thing to do, believe it or not. So I would say 7-0 in college.
Yes, sure. What is your favorite MSU tradition?
I think the cowbell. It's an awesome tradition. It brings so much atmosphere to all of the sporting events. We love it. There's nothing better than when your team walks out and all the cowbells are ringing. I just think it's so unique and it's also intimidating for the opposition. Having been on the other side and had to play against Mississippi State at their soccer complex before. It definitely makes you think, as a coach and as a player, I'm sure that, my goodness, these fans are here to make a lot of noise, and that's definitely a big advantage to us as we take our home field for sure.
What do you like to do in Starkville for fun?
I like to play golf. Do I think it's fun? Not usually, because I'm not very good at it, and I would love to be good at it. So I like to seek solace on the golf course. It's quiet. I'm outdoors. It's sport, but it's the most frustrating thing that I do. So I usually go out there thinking this is going to be a great day, and I end up pulling my hair out. That's why I don't have a lot of it. So golf is what I like to do the most. Before COVID-19, my wife and I like to go on walks around campus with my little one, Olivia. She's 4 years old. What else? We like to go. There's some great restaurants here. We've managed to go to a lot of those. We haven't been since all of this started, but once it all passes, we're looking forward to going back and eating at some of those great places as well. So Starkville's been awesome, but to answer your question, golf is what I like to do the most.
Who is your favorite soccer club?
So I started off not playing, but I signed a youth apprenticeship with Bradford City when I was 9 years old, and they released me when I was 15. So I kind of was a little upset at them, but I still followed them. They were a local club. They were about 45 minutes away from me. My cousin lived with us for a while at my family home, and he was a big Burnley supporter. They're in the English Premier League. They're not very good, but they're at least in the top division. So he used to take me when I was probably about your age to those games. And actually my uncle played for them as well. So there's kind of a family connection there. So they were the easiest, the closest to get to. And I kind of followed them ever since. I liked Manchester United growing up because they were a big club and they were always in the top division. So I kind of followed them. But when England plays, I'm a whole different person. I'm fully behind the Three Lions, the English national team. So they're probably my one team that I support unconditionally, although they've broken my heart on way too many occasions.
Who is your favorite soccer player?
Ever?
Yes, sir.
Or currently? My favorite player ever. Lionel Messi has to be up there, who's still playing right now. I think he's the greatest player of all time. But the person that I tried to model my game off that I watched the most closely when I was growing up was probably Roy Keane. He was a centre midfield player, which is what I considered myself to be. And I just felt that he could do it all. He was so competitive. He was a leader. He was a warrior. And also he was a really good soccer player. He could score goals. He could run all day. So he was who I probably tried to model my game off the most. But greatest player of all time and person that I've most liked to watch is still playing the game, fortunately, and hopefully will for a little bit longer, and that's Lionel Messi.
Yes, he's my favorite player too.
He's unbelievable. Okay,
here's one of the rules in soccer I've never gotten. Can you explain the offsides penalty?
They always tweak it so much that I don't know if I understand it all completely most of the time. Basically, you can't be behind the last two defenders. And I say defenders, that includes the goalkeeper. So I should say the last two players. So if you're a forward and you're behind the last two players, then you are considered to be offside. Now, there's lots of intricate variations of it, but that's the simplest way that I could say it, is that just make sure that you're in front, actually, you're level with the last defender. That's the best way to put it. Because very often you're not going to be behind the goalkeeper unless it's on a set piece. So it's usually you just think about that one last defender.
Let's wrap it up with this question here. I hear you like to eat cookies. What is your favorite type of cookie?
Who told you that? I'm trying. So since COVID-19, I've actually been trying to work out and eat healthier. But I definitely have a sweet spot for cookies. I'll be honest, I like all cookies apart from raisin. For whatever reason, I've never liked raisins. But you can put any cookie in front of me and I'll eat it. My wife actually said that she had a treat for me yesterday, which was probably my favorites, which is salted caramel cookies. They're probably right up there, but they're hard to find. So let's go with, what do they call it? Snickerdoodles? Is that what they call them over here?
Yes, sir.
Whenever I'm at like Panera or places like that, that's usually the one I'll get. Now, I did once get probably the craziest cookie I've ever had was from Panera, because I just remembered that as soon as I brought that company up. It was called Everything But the Kitchen Sink Cookie. And I think it had like 1,200 calories. And somebody bought it for me because they knew my love of cookies. And I ate it, and let me tell you, it was worth every single calorie. So I try and stay away from Panera just because I know that I'll be sucked into buying another one of those.
All right. Thank you, Coach, for doing this interview. Hail State.
Hail State, buddy. Thank you so much for having me on, Andrew. I really appreciate it. And looking forward to hopefully meeting you in person sometime soon.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Hail State.
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys. I hope you enjoyed the interview and you got to learn a little bit more about Coach James Armstrong. Hopefully. Don't forget to check out some Lady Bulldogs matches this fall. I will check them out, watch them, and can't wait to support them. So signing off for now from X's and O's Danger, where the sports comes to you.